You complain about the clothes I wear, and you don't like my hair. You complain because I don't work. You say I'm a no-good jerk, and then I go to work, and you go berserk. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain. You complain about the things I cook. You complain about the way I look. You complain about the clothes I wear, and you don't like my hair. You complain because I don't work. You say I'm a no-good jerk, and then I go to work, and you go berserk.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo, woo, Petticoat Junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo, woo, Petticoat Junction. I will return.
Message
This
deleted.
is News Radio 710 WNTM. From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
In Pensacola, we still have a crash with road blockage, North Pace Boulevard at West Loretta Street. Also, we've got an accident moved to the shoulder. North on I-65 at Industrial Parkway. Watch for some slowing developing westbound on the Bayway. As you make your way from the Eastern Shore to the tunnel, it's a 10-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Get a jump on your spring to-dos at Lowe's. Get 4 bags of Stay Green 2 cubic foot mulch for just $10 and 3 bags of Miracle Grow 3/4 cubic foot garden soil for just $10 too. Valid through 2/18, excludes Hawaii while supplies last. Selection varies by location.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
The Uncle Henry Show, weekday afternoons from 5 till 7. Proverbs 25:16, the King James Version. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled therewith, and vomit it. The New International Version. If you find honey, eat just enough. Too much of it, and you will vomit. Proverbs 25:16.
It says the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Thank you. I appreciate very much you listening to the Uncle Henry Show. I really do. Thank you for being here. Once again, it's just me and you here together, just the two of us trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on in the world around us? People have lost their minds, even more than they lost them previously. Well, today here on the Uncle Henry Show, you and me, we've got the end of the Mardi Gras, now into Ash Wednesday and Lent. Got all that going on. The Mobile City Council met today. We got all that to cover on today's Uncle Henry Show. Yesterday was Fat Tuesday. Today, Ash Wednesday, beginning Lent. A lot of people giving things up for Lent, preparing for Easter and the rest of the year, giving things up for Lent. For many years, I worked with a guy for many, many years back when I worked on WABB. We had an employee there named John Bowler. The wonderful John Bowler. John Bowler was the operations manager for WABB. We never knew when we were there what that meant, because we never saw him operating nothing. We didn't. In fact, I don't remember ever seeing him do nothing, but he was there. Maybe he just had the key and let everybody in and out. But anyway, I brought him up because every year I worked there with him for about 7 years, and every year for Lent, John Bowler, the operations manager, would give up beer for Lent. That would be he kept everything else about his life exactly the same. Everything. But he would give up beer every year for Lent. And we were always amazed, me and the other radio people there. We were always amazed because every year he would lose about 10 to 15 pounds every year. This was like 7 years in a row. And I remember thinking to myself, every year how amazed I was by him dropping that weight just by all he did was stop drinking beer during Lent. And he lost weight and improved his life. Now, the sad part of this, as I reflect back on it and remember it, the sad part is that we watched him do that every year, 7 years in a row. None of us ever copied him. No, we didn't. We were not smart enough. It's terrible. It is terrible to go through life dumb. Or, well, I'm sorry, that word probably not the right word to use. Let me be more sensitive to people's sensitivities. It is terrible to go through life idiotically, as I was. It is. It's. And looking back, I can look back at my younger self and think, why didn't I have any better IQ? What was going on? Where did I leave my brain? But anyway, I just bring that up to say it's Ash Wednesday, it's Lent, and there might be some, even if you're not a member of that faith, maybe there's something you can give up that can benefit your life. Just copy John Bowler, give up beer. Just during Lent and see what good things might happen for you. All right, here we are. Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM. Now, I will give you some coverage of today's Mobile City Council meeting and also go into other topics, other items on the Uncle Henry Show. Today's Mobile City Council meeting was less than 45 minutes long. Yes, indeed. They were too tired out. Everybody too tired out from the Mardi Gras, so the meeting was a merciful under 45 minutes in length. And it still had some great stuff in it. Coming up in the next segment of the show, I can share with you that Fred Richardson came back. Yes, Fred Richardson came back and spoke. So I'll have some of that for you. We'll have coverage of the city council, all that stuff. But first, I do have a living caller. And it doesn't really matter what I want to say. If there's a live, breathing caller on the phone, I do like to take them and thrust them onto the air so that we can all find out what they've got to say. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle, it's JD.
JD, you are live on the radio.
Well, I'm so glad the Mardi Gras is over. I think I could speak for a lot of people when I say that.
Okay, I'm sure you can.
So I was reading a story that was just posted 38 minutes ago by Downtown Mobile Today on Facebook, where they were talking about banning alcohol on floats. Have you heard this story yet?
I have not. Now, I did hear the story about somebody got in trouble with the law for throwing things too hard. Is this tied into this?
Yeah. So the person wrote that the children were being injured because, quote, grown men were targeting children and harming them on purpose by throwing wadded up beads as fast as they could at their face. Me and my daughter have been riding in a parade now for several years. And I've watched other people on the float where they would take big handfuls of beads and throw them overhanded into the crowd. Personally, over my lifetime, I've been hit in the face by beads and boxes of moon pies several times. But they're talking about banning alcohol on the floats. I was just wondering what your opinion of this was, because my thinking is that alcohol is not going to fix the problem.
Right.
My opinion of it is I think that if the organizations held people accountable for being too aggressive with their throws and just kicked them out of the organization. What is your opinion?
Well, I agree that banning that's not going to happen. You're just not going to ban alcohol on floats at Mardi Gras parades. That's a non-starter. But your idea of the organizations doing a better job of policing their own members, that's really going to be the way to go here, right? I mean, and most we don't hear about it because we're not in the organization, but other organizations, I have heard many stories of people getting fined by their Mardi Gras organizations for a wide variety of infractions that have happened while riding on a float.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was watching one parade last Saturday. We were on the parade route, and there was this guy on one of the floats, and he picked up the steel chair that he was sitting in on the float and acted like he was about to throw that. And he didn't, but he picked it up and acted like he was going to throw it. And I was like, surely this guy's not going to throw the steel chair. But, just things like that. I think that if each organization had its own etiquette in place and said, hey, if you're throwing aggressively or if, we get a report that somebody was hurt or something like that, we're going to kick you out. I think that's how to fix it.
And that is how they will. Hey, JD, thank you for listening. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
There he goes, JD. Yes, organizations do. We, the general public, we don't hear about it. But these organizations do fine their members. Back with more Uncle Henry Show after the news break.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Looking slow on northbound I-65. Watch for an accident at Industrial Parkway. It's been moved to the shoulder. We still have an accident North Pace Boulevard at Loretta Street in Pensacola. And slow on the Bayway, eastbound on I-10 from I-65 to the Eastern Shore. It's a 19-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Mattress Firm. Score major deal.
Hello, if anyone is looking in on YouTube, first, before I check and see if you're looking in, all right, yes, I can see that my channel is active. Let me see if I have a small number of people looking. And I do. A tiny number of people looking in. Hello to 68-year-old Chris of West Loxley. Bam, a big man. Excalibur 1-4's Larry Morting, Norman Richardson, Rick Henry, 11, JD. Yeah, people on floats have been throwing things hard at people the entire time I've been alive. They have. There's a story. By the way, speaking of Mardi Gras organizations finding their own members, and I don't know, I know a guy who was riding on a float. Somebody in the crowd threw a bottle at his head or something and cut his head wide open. He was riding on the float and somebody in the crowd threw something at him and just split his head open. He bled all over himself. They had to take him off the float and take him to the emergency room. They got him fixed up at the emergency room, and then he went to the ball. And he got fined for being out of proper attire. They fined him for not wearing the proper attire. Now, then they knew that he'd had his head cut open by something on the float. So then they gave him an award, they made something up, like the Spirit of Mardi Gras Award or something, and they gave him the money back from the fine as the award. But they still fined him because he was out of his proper attire. And even though they intended to give the money back, they just didn't want anybody in the organization to think that you can show up out of your your regular attire bloody. So, no, you can't do that. But I've heard stories of people getting fined. You know, they don't want us to hear if they have somebody on the float that is doing bad things. They don't want us to know that there's somebody on the float that did this, that, or the other. All right, let's see. What going to be back on the radio here in about a minute. I've got a caller waiting. I've got city council coverage for you, including the return of Fred Richardson. What can I tell you about while waiting to go back on the radio? See, back on in about 45 seconds. Today is Vanna White is 69 years old. Now, I don't watch Wheel of Fortune because I don't really like words and letters that much. She's still turning letters up there? 69 years old?
News? Check. Traffic and weather? Check. Opinions? Check. This is the Uncle Henry Show, only on News Radio 710 WNTM.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. News headlines in 10 minutes. I've got coverage of today's Mobile City Council meeting for you at some point in the hour. But I love talking to the living callers. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Uncle Henry.
Bert, you are live on the radio.
Today, I want to tell you the rest of the story, Uncle Henry.
Okay.
My last call, I was talking about the origins of the Friday the 13th superstition. The Catholic Church's war on the Knights Templar.
Yes.
The way I found all this out, being involved in the Demolay fraternity, and the connections I made in that fraternity led me to my first rock band when I was a teenager. And I forgot to tell you how that band is connected to you.
There was a rock band connected to me?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I'll tell you what it was. Last August, we had a benefit, and you came out to hear the bands, but my band wasn't able to play because our guitar player was AWOL.
Right.
Or else you would have heard the Rip Van Rock Band play. That's the name of the band.
Right.
Well, that benefit was for the bass player of that band I was in all those years ago. He and his brother are the MCs of the open mic night at the Blues Tavern.
Okay.
Now, I didn't make it to downtown yesterday, Uncle Henry, but I was there for Joe Kane Day. I was jamming with the band that my drummer has been in for many, many years called the August Band. I was going to jam with them, but the weather was iffy all day long.
Yeah.
And just a little bit of rain would ruin an electronic keyboard. So it wasn't set up, and even the stuff that was set up had to be broke down when it really started coming down for just a few minutes, and that's all it took to shut the show down. But I had a lot of fun. I caught a few throws and saw the whole Joe Kane parade. It was a blast. So I recommend it to anybody that hasn't been to Mardi Gras yet in Mobile. It's worth seeing.
Okay.
And I want to remind you once again, and I will until the benefit happens, there's going to be another benefit for the artist who does the logos for my band and several others on Sunday, March the 1st. And I'm going to try to be I'm going to try to jam with the August band that day. But there's
Okay.
about 6 bands lined up.
All right.
No cover charge at the Blues Tavern. It's worth coming out and hearing.
All right. Well, and one day I will see you play, Bert. It will happen.
I sure hope so, Uncle Henry. Well, thank you for taking my call.
All right. Well, Bert, thank you very much for your phone call. I love hearing from you, and I'm glad that you enjoyed Joe Cain Day. And see, I've never been a musician. I've tried. The talent wasn't there. The gumption wasn't there. Whatever you need, I ain't got it in terms of musicianship. Closest I've come to being a musician was taking wax paper and putting it on a comb and playing my comb. And even then, wasn't good. It just wasn't very good. So when Bert talks about jamming, I'm going to go and jam. See, I don't even understand how would that work, jamming. And you just show up and start just joining in, and they don't get mad? Is that what it is? That you join in and they don't physically attack you, and that's called jamming or something like that? Anyway, I'll research this and learn more about the jamming process. Now, I mentioned earlier today. It feels like yesterday, but it was a few hours ago. Mobile City Council meeting. As I mentioned to you in the last segment of the show, is a brief meeting today. Thank the Lord. Everybody involved was tired out from Mardi Gras, so we didn't get a lot of political pontificating, a lot of hot air, not the usual hot air that we normally get. Now, young Mayor Spiro was not at the meeting. So making the comments on behalf of young Mayor Spiro, representing his administration, they had the very tightly wound James Barber. So let's listen together. Here is James Barber delivering remarks on behalf of the young Spiro administration at the beginning of today's council meeting.
Yeah, Council President, I'll be making comments on behalf of the mayor. But we're thankful to have another successful Mardi Gras season on the books. Hundreds of city employees helped make it happen, including our first responders, public services, and traffic teams. Crews today are doing the final cleanup. By and large, we had a very safe Mardi Gras without any significant incidents. An estimated 1.3 million people attended the festivities for the carnival season. There were 34 misdemeanor arrests, 6 felony arrests out of that entire time. As you know, there was a tragic shooting overnight following the Joe Cain Day parades. It was not on the parade route and happened after hours. After hours of the final sanctioned event for the day, Chief Jackson and Curtis Graves are here to provide any updates if you have any questions about that. There's a severe weather.
All right, now, and I'm pausing here just to apologize. I did not warn you about the overwhelming charisma that was going to come out of the radio at you. I hope no one was startled when I began playing this by the charismatic nature of this and may have swerved on the highway or something. If you did, I apologize. But back to the tightly wound James Barber's remarks. Now he's telling us about severe weather preparedness sales tax holiday.
Tax holiday in us being a coastal city, it's critical to be ready for hurricanes and severe weather.
Yes.
This weekend, you'll have a chance to save on items you need to prepare for the storm season. The state of Alabama, Mobile County, and City of Mobile are all waiving sales tax on many storm preparedness items from February the 20th through February the 22nd.
This is good. I like it. I like waiving of the sales tax. I'd like to waive at it permanently.
The city is proud to once again participate. Friday through Sunday, you can buy critical supplies like batteries, weather radios, flashlights, coolers, even qualifying generators.
All right, all of that, get your batteries without the sales tax.
All of it tax-free. You can find more information on what items qualify for tax exemption on our website at cityofmobile.org.
All right, and I'll leave it there. There were a few more remarks, but I don't want the just startling charisma to just leap out of the radio and just, you never know when somebody might be tuning into the station, and that you just don't want them to just be completely shocked by just the almost a volcanic charisma shooting out of the radio from that discussion there. So anyway, there's more to come. Going to take a break for traffic and news headlines. And then when we come back from the news break, I've got Fred Richardson. He went to the Mobile City Council meeting to speak today. So former Mobile City Councilman Fred Richardson. We'll have some of him from today's meeting and other stuff to get to as the Uncle Henry Show continues here on this Ash Wednesday.
Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design.com Traffic Center.
You're traveling east on I-10. We're getting word of some debris in the roadway near Scenic Highway. Slow on Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10. It's an 8-minute drive. Also, eastbound on the Bayway from I-65 to the Eastern Shore. It's an 18-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Pensacola police made an arrest in a crash that killed 2 people. Wayne Dines of Spring Hill, Florida is charged with 2 counts of DUI manslaughter and DUI crash involving serious bodily injury. Investigators say he was driving a blue Jeep on Scenic Highway on January 30th when he crossed the center line and hit another car. Police say 1 person died at the scene, and a second victim died days later in a hospital. Dines was arrested in Spring Hill and is awaiting extradition back to Pensacola. The crash is still under investigation. Mobile police investigating a shooting that left 1 person injured on Friday. They responded to the Townhouse Square Apartments on Wagner Street. They found a man who had been shot. He was taken to a hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Investigators say 2 men who knew each other shot the victim during a fight. The investigation remains active. Christians in Mobile started Lent with Ash Wednesday. Mass was full at St. Pius X as worshipers took part in a day of reflection and faith. The observance includes fasting, prayer, and receiving ashes on their foreheads in the shape of a cross. Father Nicholas Napolitano of St. Pius said the message focused on becoming a better person. Lenten practices will continue, including with charitable works leading up to Good Friday and Easter. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. 6 skiers have been rescued. 8 other bodies recovered after an avalanche near Lake Tahoe in Northern California. Nevada County Sheriff Shannon Moore on the conditions those skiers were found in.
They were sheltered. They had some equipment with them trying to not only stay warm, but they had medical issues as well.
The search for one individual is still ongoing. President Trump hosting a Black History Month reception in the White House today, where Housing and Urban Development Secretary Scott Turner says he's humbled to be part of the administration.
As we celebrate this special day in not only Black history, but American history, this year that we've been here, under President Trump, the Lord has been so gracious to us, and he's been faithful, and the president has been a tremendous leader.
Secretary Turner is the only black member of President Trump's cabinet. America is listening to Fox News.
This is Jim. Hello. Jim started advertising with iHeartRadio.
YouTube viewers, if you're there, thank you for looking here on the Uncle Henry Show. I appreciate it very much. Let me take a look at you and see if you're still watching. Yeah, small number of people. Richard Harvey, thank you for adding to the numbers, Richard Harvey. Pat Nelly. Pat Nelly. Thank you for looking in. All right, let's see. What can I tell you about before I go back on the radio? In fact, let me go quickly look in the weird news. Well, this is not a weird news story. There is a new smoothie that is being advertised as the world's healthiest smoothie designed by a longevity expert, Dr. Mark Hyman. The world's healthiest smoothie is packed with 20 ingredients, including chacho bean protein, flax, chia seeds, wild blueberries, beet juice, creatine, omega oils. The reason I'm bringing this story up, it's a $25 smoothie. All right. $25 smoothie. Somebody out there is going to buy it. Not me. All right, let's see. Back on the radio here in about 30 seconds. The readers of Rolling Stone have come up with a list of what they say are the worst songs of the 1970s. Number one on the list, Disco Duck. I don't know if you know what? I don't know if I can disagree. I might disagree, but I'm not sure because that's a contender. This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. It is 5:35. Before I get back to the Mobile City Council meeting and other items, today, Ash Wednesday, it is February 18. Celebrating a birthday today. On this February 18, Yoko Ono. Yes, Yoko Ono still alive. Yoko Ono turning 93. 93 years old. Yoko Ono still going. 93 years old. And recently, I heard some of her music recently. I did. I listened to some of it. It wasn't, I didn't choose to do it. It was by accident. And even though many, many years have passed, I still don't understand what she's been up to musically. Now, I'm sure it makes a point somewhere. Somewhere, somebody loves it. I'm just saying, I don't want to be mean. She's 93. But Yoko Ono, happy birthday, age 93. All right, Uncle Henry Show, 251-479-2723, the telephone number. Today was a Mobile City Council meeting. As I mentioned several times, it was a blessing. What a blessing it was that the meeting was under 45. It was under 45 minutes in length. It was under 45 minutes in length. What a blessing for the citizens. If they love us the way they claim they do, they would make the meetings even shorter. Now, as part of today's meeting, though, one of the citizens of Mobile that wanted to address the Mobile City Council was former Mobile City Councilman Fred Richardson. Now, back when he was on the council, he would give very lengthy dissertations about racism. And he would make a point, and especially in his final 4 years there, he kept making the point over and over again that we should not ask a person what race they are on any kind of governmental form, because in Fred Richardson, in his opinion, we are all the same race. We are all human beings we are all the same race, according to Fred Richardson. And he said that that city forms should say ethnicity. They should not ask your race. They should ask your ethnicity. Now, I think he got an ordinance passed back when he was on the council that stated that city forms would ask not your race, but your ethnicity. Well, I think he found a form that has race on it, and he didn't like that. So he spoke to the meeting. I'm not going to share all of his comments with you because they had to give him extra time. Here is just a little bit of Fred Richardson talking about how, just for old time's sake, some Fred Richardson talking about how we are all one race, the human race.
Now, therefore, be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Mobile as follows. Section 1, that
he's reading that law, that ordinance that he got passed.
The word race as pertaining to any citizen's ethnicity will no longer divide our citizens and will disappear and be removed from any...
Council, can I give him 1 more minute?
Yes.
No, 1 more minute.
Thank you. Will disappear and be removed from any and all official forms of the City of Mobile, except that it may be required by state or federal law, rules, regulations, or requirements, and that it be substituted with the word ethnicity on all future printings and versions of this form, which reflects our origin, history, and heritage. It was adopted on July 7th, 2020, signed by City Clerk Lisa C. Lambert, and I have a copy of a police ticket.
A police ticket
that I received yesterday.
That Fred Richardson received a police ticket yesterday.
And on this ticket, they're asking citizens that they pull over, what's your race? It ain't but one race, the human race. If you're not in my race, tell me what function you can perform that I can't. What determines race is function. All dogs can do the same thing. All birds can do the same thing. It needs to end, so I'm leaving a copy for the mayor and all city council. Hey, this is the boldest council in the United States of America. They enacted this. We need the boldest mayor in the world to carry it out. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Richardson, for coming down. It's good to see you again. I would say I miss you, but the person to my right, he every bit of you. The only thing he missing is the other watch off his other hand and everything. But
so he's saying that Corey Penn has picked up the torch and acts as if he's Fred Richardson at the meetings.
Corey learned many lessons from you, but thank you for coming down and sharing that with us this morning, Madam Clerk.
All right, and they didn't. Now, if it had not been the day after Mardi Gras, this would have lasted a lot longer. Trust me on this. This would have been discussed for quite a while. Now, I have a feeling that the reason that police form had the word race on it is probably that when you are compiling data for all the other law enforcement agencies at different levels like state and federal, they all probably want to use the same terminology on those forms. This is me guessing. So I'm guessing that the reason it would say race on that police ticket would be so that it could line up with other forms from the state and federal, et cetera, et cetera. But anyway, always great to see Fred Richardson at a Mobile City Council meeting. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle Henry.
Yes.
This is Dave. I moved here 3 years ago from Tampa, and I graciously watched the parade yesterday on TV, and it was pretty cool. You know, you got guys beating on stuff with inflated, pig bladders and the cool floats. And we have a similar festival called Gasparilla in Tampa, and it does not even compare. Mardi Gras is so cool. The history, I love this place, and I am not about to tell any Floridians about how much the coastal, Florida and Mobile is, and I don't want them all coming up here. I moved for a reason, and I love your show, Snake Trapper, and all you guys, man. Like, it's just so cool.
Well,
and I'll let you go.
Oh no, I was just going to tell you, thank you, Dave. I really appreciate you listening to the show, and I'm glad you're enjoying the Alabama Gulf Coast.
Yes, sir, I am, and I listen every day religiously to your show in this area, and I love it. And thank you for doing what you do. You're good at it, and obviously you got awards and stuff. But I don't want to, fan your farts too much. But you rock, man, and I just love this part of the world, and especially now, thank goodness we're through the Mardi Gras experience and we're back to normalcy. I'll be able to drive downtown without, going through hassles and so forth. But it's a really a cool experience. It's way different from what I'm used to, and I love it here.
Well, so glad to hear that. And I know a lot of Mobilians listening are glad to hear that too. Dave, thank you for your phone call.
You're very welcome. And again, I'm not telling anybody about it.
All right, good. Thank you for that. Well, that was wonderful. A call. My favorite calls are the ones that take up a lot of time and also have praise as well.
Just getting word of a crash in Pensacola, North W Street at Beverly Parkway. And we have slowing as you make your way south on I-110. The off-ramp to East Gregory Street is blocked. That's exit 1. East on I-10 from...
YouTube viewers, if you're still there, I'll talk to you. Let me look. Let me see if I have any YouTube viewers. How can it be that complicated? But it is. There. Oh, a small number looking, but thank you, small number of looking at the uncle. I appreciate it. All right, let's see. Before I went into that radio show thing that I've got to do, I was telling you that the readers of Rolling Stone, whatever that is, website, I guess, maybe it's an app these days. But Rolling Stone polled its readers and they wanted to know what was the worst song of the 1970s. And I told you in the last commercial break that the number one answer was Disco Duck by Rick Dees. Now, and I don't know. I mean, that might be it. I'm trying to think of something worse, and it's hard to. I'm sure there's many horrible songs, numerous, but that's pretty bad. Now, the rest of the top 10, they've got at number 10, Loving You by Minnie Riperton. Now, I don't hate that song, but I'd never pick it for any purpose. Number 9 is the song Feelings by Morris Albert. Now, that song, it's not as bad as you think it is, but it's bad. I don't know that it's top 10 bad, but it's bad. Number 8, Billy Don't Be a Hero by Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods. Now that's a perfectly fine song. There's nothing wrong with Billy Don't Be a Hero. Now, I don't know whatever happened to the Haywoods. You know what? I'm going to make a note later this evening to look up the Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods and find out whatever happened to them. But that doesn't belong in a top 10 worst songs list. Number 6 on the bad songs of the 1970s list, number 6 is Escape, the Pina Colada song by Rupert Holmes. Now, I'm sorry, that you may hate it, but that was objectively a gigantic hit song that people still reference, whether they should or not. But that doesn't belong on the list either. Number 5 on the list, Muskrat Love by the Captain and Tennille. That was really bad. That might be, I might put that almost to Disco Duck level. Might be worse. It might be. It might be worse than Disco Duck, Muskrat Love. No adult should ever admit that they like it. Number 4 on their worst songs of the 70s list, number 4 is You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone. That doesn't belong on this list. This doesn't belong on any worst song list. You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone should be on a best songs of the 70s list, not the worst song. And I don't have time for the rest of the list, I'm sorry. And it doesn't matter because these lists are basically for simple-minded people.
Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710, WNTN, an iHeartRadio station.
Uncle Henry Show, News Radio 710, WNTM. It is 5:50. News headlines coming up in 10 minutes, and then more Uncle Henry Show. Let's see, I've got time for a voicemail. Let me go to the Uncle Henry Show voicemail inbox. The voicemail number is 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976. 1976.
I'm trying to reach Henry at the Henry Talk Show.
That's me.
This is DR.
Okay.
Look, Henry, I only got one thing this morning. I just realized here the past few years, I don't know how long it's been going on, but the teachers get all week off for Mardi Gras. Not just Monday and Tuesday like it was when I was coming up. And I was doing some calculating with all the holidays, and I don't think kids go to school but a little over 7 months out of the year. Now, if you look at China and what they do with their children, which all of it's not good, but they put them in school year-round. They demand excellence. If they don't, hit the mark, they go to the labor camps. They'll send them out and put them to work. I think we need to take another look at our educational system, because I think it's set up for the teachers and not the students. That's all I got to say. Bye-bye.
Hey, DR, thank you. I want to thank you very much for your voicemail. Now, I was thinking about this myself along those lines. You know, the teachers, we're actually, as a society, asking teachers to do more now because so many people send their kids to school and expect the teachers to raise the kids. I know you've noticed this. All these parents that are they got to find themselves. They've delayed growing up, and the parents got to find themselves. They can't let their child take over their life, and so they're going to let the teacher do the raising. So we in a way, we're asking teachers to do more Not necessarily book work, but just raising kids, making sure that the kids are not threats to society. But the kids, they do seem like they're out of school a lot. DR, when I hear terms like spring break for a student, I always wonder, what is it a break from? Now, I understand when a teacher gets some time off, they've getting some time off from doing some hard work. When the child gets time off, what is it a break from? I'm just saying. I know maybe now your kid or your grandkids, they probably work really hard in school. I'm just talking about students that were like me, that majored in paper football. All right, let's see. Almost out of time for this segment of the Uncle Henry Show. There's one story, a news story I wanted to mention to you. I know we all remember the promise of flying cars. And it turns out that there is an aviation company that is now selling a flying car. It's called the Helix. It will cost you $190,000 to buy one, $190,000. They say that it's a single-seat electric aircraft. It can take off vertically from your backyard, cruise at 62 miles per hour. In this $190,000 flying car, they say you will not need a pilot's license. No. They say that instead, all you would need is a brief 2-week training course, and that's it. No pilot's license. Now, can you imagine? This is, I'm already worried when I'm driving around just in my neighborhood. The people that are driving around me, they're not paying attention. They're on their phones. So I'm already worrying about people running into me from behind or from the side or even head-on collisions because they're not even looking at the road. They're on their phones. Now, I'm going to have to worry about people dropping out of the sky on me. Yes, because you know this is going to happen. You know this is going to happen. They're going to sell, they claim they're selling a $190,000 flying car that does not require a pilot's license. Well, I hope you got it. The car cost $190,000. What will the insurance cost? Be another extra $200,000 for the insurance for this? The flying car without a license. What could possibly go wrong? YouTube viewers, there's more show to come, but the Uncle Henry Show camera getting turned off. I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time. I hope with stories to tell. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and a pleasant tomorrow.
Which was then set on fire in an attempt to cover up the crimes. Prosecutors argue it all stemmed from a business relationship between the brothers that went bad after Keith Canero discovered Paul was stealing money from the business and from him personally. The defense argued that Canero didn't murder anyone, that he and his brother were best friends and would never harm his nephew and niece, who he, quote, cherished and adored. Canero now faces life in prison when he is sentenced in May. There's more on this story at foxnews.com or subscribe to the Fox True Crime Podcast. I'm Anna Eliopoulos with your Fox True Crime Minute.